This week, we're covering two incredibly important topics that really bring together everything we've learned about marketing strategy, distribution channels, and global marketing. These aren't just theoretical concepts. They're the practical realities that determine whether your brilliant marketing strategy actually succeeds in the real world. So let's dive in. Let's start with distribution channels, because honestly, you can have the best product in the world, but if customers can't access it, you've got nothing. A distribution channel is essentially a set of interdependent organizations that work together to make your product or service available for consumption. Now, the key word here is interdependent. These aren't just random companies in a chain, they're partners whose success depends on each other. Here's what I want you to really understand about channel design. You have to make a fundamental strategic decision early on. Are you going for intensive distribution where your product is everywhere? Think Coca-Cola or Snickers bars. Or selective distribution, where you're a bit more choosy about your retail partners. Or maybe exclusive distribution, where you're deliberately limiting access to maintain brand prestige. Think luxury watches or high-end automobiles. This decision isn't just about logistics. It fundamentally shapes your brand positioning and customer experience. Now, once you've set up your channels, you're going to face conflict. It's inevitable. You might have horizontal conflict, where retailers at the same level are competing with each other. Or vertical conflict, where manufacturers and retailers disagree about pricing or promotional strategies. And here's a modern challenge: multi-channel conflict. This happens when you're selling both online and through traditional retail, and your retail partners feel like you're competing with them. Sound familiar? This is exactly what many brands are wrestling with right now. The solution isn't to avoid conflict, it's to manage it strategically. This is where channel power comes in, and I want you to understand there are 5 types. You've got coercive power, basically threats and punishment. Reward power, incentives and benefits. Legitimate power, contractual agreements. Expert power, specialized knowledge. And referent power, where channel members want to be associated with you because of your brand strength. The most successful companies use a mix of these, but they lean heavily on reward, expert, and referent power rather than coercion. Think about Apple. Retailers want to carry iPhones not because Apple threatens them, but because of the brand prestige and customer traffic it brings. Now, let's shift gears to global marketing, because this is where things get really complex and really interesting. The first question any company must ask is, should we even go global? And look, the benefits are obvious: larger markets, economies of scale, the ability to diversify risk across different economies. But the risks are real too. You're facing new competitors, different legal systems, cultural barriers, and potential political instability. Going global isn't a decision you make lightly. If you decide to go international, you need to think carefully about which markets to enter. This is where I see a lot of companies make mistakes. They either chase the biggest markets or they follow competitors without really analyzing fit. What you should be doing is evaluating markets based on several criteria. Look at market attractiveness, size, growth potential, purchasing power, but also consider competitive intensity and your own ability to compete there. Sometimes a smaller market where you can dominate is better than a huge market where you'll struggle for share. Then comes the entry strategy decision, and this is crucial because it determines your level of risk, control, and investment. You can start with indirect exporting, basically using intermediaries who already know the market. It's low risk, but you're giving up control and profit. Direct exporting gives you more control but requires more investment. Licensing and franchising are middle ground options where you're essentially renting your brand or business system to local partners. Joint ventures mean sharing ownership with a local company. You get their market knowledge, but you're also sharing profits and decision-making. Finally, direct investment, building your own facilities or acquiring local companies, gives you maximum control but also maximum risk and investment. Here's a mental model I want you to remember. Think of these entry modes as a spectrum. On one end, you have low commitment, low risk, low control, and low profit potential. On the other end, high commitment, high risk, high control, and high profit potential. Your choice depends on your resources, risk tolerance, and strategic goals for that market. Now, once you're in a market, you face the classic global marketing dilemma: standardization versus localization. Do you keep everything the same across markets, or do you adapt? The textbook gives you both sides. Standardization offers economies of scale, consistent brand image, and the ability to leverage good ideas across markets. But localization acknowledges that consumer needs, competitive dynamics, and legal requirements differ dramatically across countries. The truth? Most successful global companies do both. They standardize where it creates value, maybe brand identity, core product technology, or basic messaging. And they localize where it matters, perhaps flavors, package sizes, promotional tactics, or distribution approaches. McDonald's is the classic example. The golden arches are the same everywhere, but the menu in India is completely different from Japan, which is different from France. That's smart globalization. Let me leave you with one final thought that connects everything we've discussed. Whether you're designing domestic distribution channels or entering global markets, you're making decisions about relationships and partnerships. Success isn't just about having a great product or competitive prices. It's about building systems and partnerships that deliver value to customers wherever they are. The companies that win are those that think systematically about how to create value through their channel partners and how to adapt intelligently to different market contexts.